If you haven't already subscribed, don't forget to turn that red button below this video grey. I don't get how you do it, just press it. Anyways, enjoy the video. Well. If it isn't our old friend Sonic Rift, the so-called leaked Sonic game which was leaked in late 2019. But for some reason, decided to show its face again, even though it was just a Reddit post because it got taken down. Anyways, enough of my rambling, let's get into the reason why you actually clicked on this video, to see the leak. Let's take a look-see. So, this Redditor, is that what you call a Reddit user, claims that he isn't a huge Sonic fan and was only a playtester. Yeah, okay buddy, say what you want, but you can't fool us. We can see through your lies. As you might have thought, this game is called Sonic Rift, and supposedly releases in 2021. So this would essentially be the anniversary game then. Sounds believable so far. The game has a ring portal mechanic which allows Sonic to teleport by throwing it. So it's basically like the Sonic movie, which he also says. So, looks like Sega might actually try and use the Sonic movie for inspiration. Over a year later, but it's still something I guess. It seems like the boost is also returning, which is really going to unite a big chunk of the fan base. Which sounds like Sega actually. Not listening to the fans? Yeah, starting to get more believable here. The boost is apparently more akin to how it was in Unleashed and Generations, which is an improvement. It means we may not see the Wisps again, which makes it less believable now. The guy, yes, that's how I'm actually going to refer to him from now on. Now, this guy said that he ran out of boost quickly, which does raise some questions. Will enemies refill the boost gauge? It could be like Sonic Rush where only doing tricks gives you boost, but for this game, only rings give you boost. This might be good as it could give some strategy to the boost. If only rings fill the gauge, you may need to use your boost wisely to save it for when you actually really need it. It could also mean that you aren't dashing like a maniac all the time too, which is people's main concern with the boost. If the boost is like that, it'd be kind of an interesting take on it. I thought this guy was just spamming the boost button, like IGN does. The levels have a text HUD where the characters speak. I've heard some people saying that this is bad, as I think this is how they progress the story, but I think they're thinking of the ones that are on the Sonic Forces world map. I generally really like the character dialogue in Forces, as I feel like the Resistance was actually doing something, even though we actually can't see them doing anything. The guy said that it was only at the tutorial level, which brings up more questions. How many stages did this guy test? And if the text was only in the tutorial, maybe the text was just the character telling the player how to play the game. The game has an easy and hard mode, but I don't know if it's just like Forces where easy mode is just like you have a 100 ring cap and if you get hit then you lose 20 rings instead of all of them, or if it's like a full blown difficulty with different changes to the object placement and level design. It would be pretty cool to have it as a second option and not the first, but this is still Sega. Wherefore does it exist in Sonic games? Apparently Sonic is travelling through different dimensions, hence why the game is called Sonic Rift. This is worrying to say the least. Dimensions have popped up in the most recent 3D Sonic game and it wasn't pretty. Classic Sonic might come back. That little bugger. Sane Mania, man. This next bit is where the guy really tries his best to show that he doesn't know much about Sonic. He says that Sonic has a new slide, stomp and drift ability, even though they aren't new. Sonic has had all of them before. Weird. But hey, the drift is back. Not really. I don't know which interpretation is right here, but he says that the drift is automated in specific sections. Now, does this mean that you can drift at any time, but the game does it for you sometimes? Or does it mean that the drift is completely automated? We will never know. Sonic also has a drop dash, which is weird since this is a boost game, but it could back up my theory from before about needing to use your boost wisely. The boost is the quickest and most powerful way to gain speed, but if you don't have any boost left, you still have the drop dash to gain speed quickly, but not as quickly as the boost, which is why you would need to use it wisely. So that is the end of the given information by the leaker, but that is the end of all the information. A few people decided to ask this guy a few questions about this game, and he did actually give some interesting responses. Bulbasaur, he didn't really spell it right, I'm just going to call him Bulbasaur, just to make it easier. So anyways, Bulbasaur asked this guy about the arts and an overall look of the game. The guy says that the lighting was good, which I don't really doubt since lighting was already great in Forces, especially in Metropolis. The guy also says that Sonic design has changed. No, it's okay. It's not as bad as you would think. All it is just a more realistic texture on Sonic to resemble fur. He shows these images to represent it. It honestly looks pretty good and would really be better than the Forces model for Sonic. I think this, again, is Sega being inspired by the Sonic movie by trying to make Sonic more realistic, but Sega, it's okay. This is good enough. You don't need to go any further, it's alright. Bulbasaur isn't done with this guy just yet though. He asked about the playstyles, level design of the game, and also the reason why the guy even leaked this in the first place. The guy responds saying that he doesn't know anything about other characters playable. He also said he's only played games like Sonic 2, SA2 and 06, which makes more sense. He hasn't played a boost game before, which is why he doesn't know about the slide and drift and all that. Or it could just be him trying to make this whole leak sound more believable. Both are possible. The levels are a mix of open and linear level design, so similar to Generations and Unleashed, which is good news. Now, for the motive of this leak. This guy did sign an NDA with Sega. By the way, an NDA is a contract between two companies saying that if they show one thing to the other, they have to keep it confidential and keep it to themselves. The guy claims that Sega did have him sign an NDA, but that was just to say that he was allowed to leak images, demos, or files from the game, which just ruins the believability for me. I don't think the Sega will be like, oh, hey man, please test this game for us. You can tell the whole world about it. We don't care. Just don't leak anything so that they can actually physically see what the game actually looks like. Gucci? That just sounds ridiculous. So this guy could have leaked the entire story of the game and Sega would have cared. Yeah, that is straight up cap. No cap. We have another user asking the guy about how it felt to play, and the graphics too. And apparently the game feels fun to play and speedrun, and the graphics are quote unquote very good. This next question is very interesting though. Gamer asks about this tutorial level and the response gives hope, but also removes believability. Also adds believability at the same time. This level was a beach that you're running on water to a snowy mountain, and at some point there was a jungle section and a carnival section. The carnival section was entirely 2D though. This actually sounds really awesome. 4 locations in one stage. Hell yes, sign me up. One of these locations are from the same dimension, or if they're from different dimensions. I already mentioned that they're all in different dimensions, but the guy doesn't say. Having 4 locations in one stage doesn't sound like something Sonic Team could actually pull off though. That is quite a big jump from Forces, although the Forces team was fired, so maybe Sega did hire competent developers after all. Actually no, remember though Unleash, this is still a leak, which could be false. Having 2D sections returns some believability because we know how Sega is with 2D sections in Sonic games. I wouldn't really mind it though, depending on how they pull it off. According to this guy, only the carnival section was 2D, which means only a quarter of the stage was 2D. Pretty damn good if I do say so myself. Another user had some queries about the 2D sections in the game, and the guy replies saying that there are 2.5D sections with modern Sonic to boost playstyle, and a brand new wall jump exclusive to 2D. Once again, it's not a new move, even Force had the wall jump for one stage. You got to control Sonic at all times though, it was hard to control when going very fast, which is pretty much the general consensus when it comes to boost games, and Sonic as well actually. As long as it isn't as bad as the Sonic 06 max speed sections or Forces boosting, then we should be fine. The temple in the jungle section had a lot of paths to explore, and there was also a way to skip it by running on water, which instantly reminds me of Generation's modern Seaside Hill, and also the temple may be like in Jungle Joyride in Sonic Unleashed. Once again, he doesn't know anything about the story, since he is a playtester. You gotta give the leaker credit for being consistent with this at least. We already know that modern Sonic is playable right now, so he doesn't know if Classic Sonic is playable in the game or not, which is worrying to say the least. Only Sonic and Tails were talking in the text HUD, which I'm guessing is how we found out that Sonic was traveling through dimensions. Or that the title of the game is Sonic Rift. Rift as in to do with dimension travelling. The next question from a user is worrying, which means that it's more believable. According to this guy, the levels were around 2 minutes long, which may sound bad depending on how many stages this guy played. If you only play the tutorial, then this is actually too bad. The first stages of Sonic games are always the shortest ones, as you just get the player used to how the character controls and plays. If you played more than one stage, then that's when the worries start to arise. If you played 3 stages for example, is it that bad as you don't know how many stages are in the game yet? If it's only modern Sonic playable, then there should be plenty of stages. We know that the more stages you play, the longer and harder they get. So, if these are 3 consecutive stages that he played, then I don't think we should worry as much. The guy didn't mention playing multiple stages though. He just says that he thinks some things will be present in other stages, such as the text HUD. So maybe he did only play the tutorial, which means we can breathe a sigh of relief. The guy was playing on a PS4, which means Sega haven't fully devoted themselves to newer and stronger hardware just yet, which is understandable. I mean, it took like 4 years for Sonic to reach the PS4. This also should mean that Sega haven't tried making a new engine that takes advantage of newer hardware, which is good since it means that they haven't spent 2 years making the Hedgehog in 3. Plus, if Sega do devote to newer hardware, I'm pretty sure they would have to ditch releasing games on the Nintendo Switch as it's not powerful enough. Unless we get that Ruben Switch Pro. The final question was about the Wisp, and from the responses the guy gave, it doesn't seem that like they're in the game. For now. Sega, please no. And that is pretty much everything on the supposed Sonic Rift leak. Do I think this is believable? I don't think it is. There are some things here which sound very Sega-esque, such as 2D sections and not listening to fans watching adventure style gameplay. But, will this leak really be that bad of an actual game? I'm gonna say no. From everything we've got here, it sounds like a pretty alright game. Multiple locations in one stage, an improved boost, and updated visuals. It actually sounds pretty solid. Though that could just be me being hopeful for something which is actually worthwhile, which is highly likely. Now, looking to rate Sonic Rift on the likely to happen scale, I'm probably going to place it at slightly likely. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, especially that last one, and I hope to see you next time. Peace!